Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. We've become friends, actually, through the trials and tribulations of everything. Heading away, you know, they're driving happily to destroy the lives of people, and they end up, that's the end of them. So the ocean drugs and the sea drugs, drugs by sea they call it also, that's almost down to nothing.
Many people were surprised that the entire East Wing is being demolished, because you had said initially that the ballroom would just touch or would not.
Well,
touch
certain
it.
areas
What
are being
happened?
certain areas are being left. We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world, we determined that really knocking it down, trying to use a little section. You know, the East Wing was not much. There was not much left from the original. It was over the course of 100 years, it was changed, the columns were removed, and it was a much different building. Then a story was added on in 1948, 1949. There was a story added on, which was not particularly nice. And the building was very, very much changed from what it was originally. It was never thought of as being much. It was a very small building. And rather than allowing that to hurt a very expensive, beautiful building that, frankly, they've been after for years. You have that. I brought these along so people could see, but very great patriots, actually. And the spirit on the building of it is amazing. We are using little sections of footings and various other things, but that's sort of irrelevant. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect, and the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful. You can see the kind of interiors that we're talking about. That's an interior of the ballroom. And it's the highest level. And you see it goes beautifully with the White House. I mean, the mix is beautiful. So over the years, many presidents have made changes. This obviously would be the biggest change, but this was something they've wanted for at least 150 years. In order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure. The way it was shown, it looked like we were touching the White House. We don't touch the White House. That's a bridge, a glass bridge, going from the White House to the ballroom. Then you get into the lobby of the ballroom, and then you go into the magnificent, the main room. And it's something that has gotten incredible reviews. And this is a proper kind of a thing. Now, what the White House was doing, as you know, is they were putting tents out on the lawn. This is an interior shot of the ballroom. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors. As an example, President Xi, or they had, you know, a leader of one of the countries, including the king and the queen from your favorite country,
absolutely,
frankly, but where they'd be honored, and they'd be in a tent out on the lawn, and it would rain, and it was a disaster. Brian's shaking his head. You know what I'm talking about.
And now to the current scene outside the White House. Construction crews are paving their way to President Trump's whopping $300 million ballroom. And now top Democrats in the House, they are demanding answers and, quote, transparency. So let's go live now to the White House and CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, thank you for your time. I mean, you are out there right now by the White House, but you've also seen or been on the streets getting the pulse of the nation and on this construction project that's currently going on. What are locals saying so far about the project?
Well, Mugo, it's been a steady stream of tourists coming here to the White House to just get a glimpse of some of the construction that's happening. You can kind of see it a little bit over my shoulder. There are people who are standing out there at the White House now looking at it. We just saw an excavator that was still tearing down parts of the East Wing. But yesterday I went outside on the street to talk to some people who came all the way into Washington just to get a glimpse about what their reaction is to the construction that's happening here. And as you can imagine, the results were mixed. Some people said that it was disgraceful. Some people said that this is not the time for a ballroom when you're having Americans who are struggling to pay their bills. But there were other people I talked to who were quite happy with what they're seeing. Take a listen to Joe Thompson. He was down here in Washington dropping his wife off for a meeting and then decided to walk down to the White House and take a look for himself. Here's what he had to say.
I was glad to see that the upgrade with the building. And you know, it's so funny they're saying how Trump's destroying everything. Go back through history, all the different presidents. Truman gutted the place. Roosevelt made the West Wing. Who was it? Nixon had his bowling alley.
I think it's disgraceful. It's a desecration, really, I think. I don't know that anybody particularly wants a big ballroom. And even for those people who did want it, the promise was that the White House wasn't going to be touched.
Now, Mugo, as you can tell, there was a lot of mixed reaction from people on the street here in Washington who came by to see this construction. But the White House says that they have been transparent throughout this whole process, and our latest reporting shows that the price tag has grown from $200 million to $250 to now $300 million. It will also include a new bunker that they're redoing under the East Wing.
Olivia, do we know anything about the donors and the construction company that's being used for this huge, expensive project?
Yeah, so the construction company is Clark Construction. They're based here in Washington, or excuse me, they are here working on the project now as we speak. And the engineers that are working on it are from AECom, which is a consulting company. But some of the people we know who have donated, the White House has released a list. They include Comcast Corporation, Booz Allen Hamilton, which is another consulting company, Lockheed Martin, Meta, Palantir, T-Mobile, and some people who are actually working in the administration, like the Lutnick family, and also Kelly Loeffler as well. So some administration officials who are donating to this project, which is also quite notable.
Okay, Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
We continue to have eyes and ears in that room, that White House press briefing room. As we mentioned, we anticipated that Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt would be asked about the demolition wrecking ball happening at the East Wing of the White House. A reporter asked her about that. Here's what she had to say.
On that, one thing that's not in the president's model is the East Wing bunker, the president's emergency operations center. Can you say if his update, that $300 million, does that include the cost for upgrading that bunker?
Look, like any security enhancements that are made on the White House grounds, those will be made and maintained by United States Secret Service. As for the cost of the ballroom and the construction itself, all of that is going to be, like I've said, privately funded and paid for by the president himself and many generous patriots who have stepped up.
In that funding? Correct. Okay, and then can you say, well, that's right, I'll skip that one.
Thanks. Ouija. Okay.
So the White House has explained that the reason you didn't submit construction plans to the NCPC is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction. And so far, you haven't built anything. So can you help us understand, can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Can he demolish this building or, say, the Jefferson Memorial?
So it's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. It's written, so we can get you that background and that research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is very important. They have ruled consistently. Their general counsel has said when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for vertical construction will a submission be required, and that's a legal opinion from them, and we are following that legal opinion. And again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds? There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly, I mean,
Ouija, that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years.
And interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat, to show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902. Look at this, the construction of the West Terrace in 1902. These images look quite similar to what you and the American people are seeing today, the construction of the East Terrace as well. You look at the construction of the West Wing expansion in 1934. So look, this is a legal opinion that's been held for many years. Look at, this is 1950. It looks a lot like what you're seeing today.
Can he demolish anything he wants?
What do you think that
oversight?
rubble is? How did that rubble get there?
Right, so I'm asking, and then back to the donors.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Many of them are
Reagan, go ahead.
One